Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Ikokwu, and I have our guest commentator with me for the rest of the program, who's going to give us her personal take on the news and issues of the day. And she's the journalist, political affairs commentator, and Arise News analyst, Dr. Constance Ikokwu. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And just to be clear, as we make this, because obviously your part of your assessment is looking at what Abdul Mumin Jibrin, who's a spokesman for the NNPP, was saying, but I want to make it very clear that we don't support any political party. That's the policy of Arise News, and that's the policy of all the people who work in Arise News. Certainly our on-air presence doesn't have any suggestion at all of supporting anybody.
Definitely, yes. It shouldn't be so. I mean, we try to give everyone a fair hearing, all the presidential candidates, and that's what it should be. Absolutely.
So having said that and got that out of the way, what's your assessment of the performance of the presidential candidate of the NNPC, Rabiu Kwankwaso, at Chatham House today? Did he impress you? Was there much radical thinking there?
His speech was long. It was over 30 minutes. And he struck the right chord, I must say. He said the right things, and he talked about the past, where we've made wrong choices, wrong priorities. He talked about a blueprint for 2023 anchored on 4 things: economy, human security, social issues, and deepening democracy. I was scribbling furiously. He said a lot of things, a lot, and he touched, like I said, on the right things. And then he went on to lay out a blueprint. And according to him, very interesting blueprint. He talked about increasing teachers, recruiting more teachers, recruiting policemen from over 300,000 to 1 million, recruiting military officers from over 200,000 to 1 million. He talked about mobile clinics for health, 1 meal per day a child in school, building over 500,000 schools, a lot of things. And like you asked Abdul Mumin, the thing is, how are we going to fund all of this? It would have been nice for us to hear from him, since he was already there. How do you intend to fund all of this? Because it takes money. Nigeria is already cash-strapped, if I may use the word. The revenue, the debt of the country is about 70 trillion or over 70 trillion naira. So where will you get the money to fund all of this? And when he talked about increasing, this is essentially increasing the civil service, all these people. We already have an over-bloated civil service. For months or for years, we have spoken in this country about reforming the civil service, having a lean and efficient government. We have the Oronsanya report that talked about merging different government agencies and parastatals, the ones that are redundant, are doing the same things, so that you can have a more efficient, effective system. And then the other thing is, when you're recruiting more people, are we talking about quality or quantity? In terms of security, we do need more policemen and all of that, but where do you offset that? Do you want more quality or quantity? Because as you're recruiting, what are you paying them? The problem today on ground is that people are not paid living wages. And because they are not paid living wages, there is a proclivity for graft, for kleptocracy, for dipping your hands somewhere that you should not. So he should be thinking about this. If he's talking about innovation, creativity in the tertiary institutions as well, he talked about industrial action by teachers at the tertiary institutions, how he's going to give more scholarships. Again, how are we going to get the money to do all of it? More details on that, I think, will assure people that he actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And of course, Abdul Mumin Jibrin also tried to put up a spirited defense in terms of the reported defections from their party to other parties, and also he tried to talk quite a bit about the fact that he believes that that Kwankwaso is going to be the inheritor of all those votes that Buhari won in 2015 and 2019. But there's no guarantee of that, is there?
No, there's no guarantee. But Kwankwaso is a power broker in Kano. He is also a known figure in the north. he has been building this Kwankwasia movement for many years. It didn't start today. And so I think he's playing a long game, I think. He has a lot of supporters in the North. When the spokesman says he will win the whole North, I think he's being economical with the truth, because there's nothing like one North. He might be popular, very popular in the Northwest. We'll give that to him. He might be popular in the Northeast. But you see states like Gombe, Taraba, Adamawa, there are some Christians in Bauchi, all those places. Religion still plays a role. Ethnicity still plays a role. So he might get a lot of votes in Northwest, in Northeast. North Central, it might not be the same. Southeast, it might not be the same. Definitely Southwest, Southwest, it might not be the same. So there are places that he is popular. You have to give it to him. He's a very astute politician. He knows what he's doing. He understands the game, and he is playing it. But the level at which his spokesman is saying that he's going to win the whole North, I do not think that's the case.
Right. Okay, let's move away from the NNPP and talk about the Labour Party and the concerns that were raised by Isaac Bellamy, who's the Deputy National Campaign Manager, about their uploading of their agents, their polling unit agents, onto the server, which is a requirement of INEC. But they say they're unable to do it because the server is too slow and they're not going to meet the deadline. I mean, and they said they've been talking to INEC, but it doesn't seem like INEC wants to move that deadline. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
It is concerning, but here you see when people talk about the Labour Party doesn't have structure, maybe you see a bit of that. Well, the Labour Party is widespread, maybe not in all parts of the country, but they've never run a national, a presidential election. They've never really run governorship elections. And so in times like this, you can see where they need to work harder. I do not know if other parties are experiencing the same difficulties, but you know, this is what it is. They would have to have a discussion with INEC. We hope that INEC is, has some empathy for them, but it's really something that has to be resolved. If they're unable to do this, it will be a big blow.
Right.
So
okay.
my sense is that at the end of the day, they might find a way around it with INEC.
Right. And just in terms of, because we've got about a minute and a half or so left, there's a lot of talk about the spread of support for the Labour Party in the North. They've disputed that suggestion, but unlike, for instance, the PDP, the APC, and the NNPP, we're not seeing prominent northern Muslims coming out to campaign for Mr. Rabiu. Why is that?
It's not surprising. I mean, the North is the North, well, the core North, Northwest, and Northeast. I would say that.
Yeah, but he's got a running mate who's a northern.
Yes. Well. I mean, he's working at that. Labour Party will get Christian votes in the North. I think so. In a lot of places that Christians are disgruntled and upset that the APC is running a Muslim ticket in places like Kaduna. I've mentioned a bit of Adamawa. We have a large number of Christians in Adamawa, Gombe, Taraba, North Central, definitely. So they will grab pockets of votes here and there in the North. But for the core North, the Northwest and the Northeast...
it'll be difficult.
Yeah, it will be different because most of the Northerners also want power to be retained in the North.
Right.
And when Kwankwaso went to...
very briefly, because we've got about 10 seconds.
Went to Chatham House today and talked about fairness, equity, and justice, the question people will be asking him, you want to do fairness, justice, and equity, why are you running for president? You know that power should rotate to the South.
On that note, I want to thank you exceedingly. Dr. Constance Ikokwu is a journalist, political affairs commentator, and Arise News analyst. Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time, a rather fraught edition. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja and London. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching.